Good morning to all of you joining us here in the chapel and on YouTube. We're especially glad to have those of you who may be here with us for the first time, and we hope to see you again soon. I'd like to remind you to please silence your cell phones or other devices at this time. My name is Jeanne Mooney, and I am your worship leader today. Robin Zucker will be our speaker, our own Reverend Robin Zucker. Eastrose Fellowship sits on the occupied territory of the Clackamas Chinook people, who were forcibly displaced from this land to the Grand Ronde Reservation in 1855. We acknowledge the sacrifices endured by the ancestors of this land, and that our presence here today is only possible because of the injustices committed against them. We recognize the inherent sovereignty of the Chinook Nation and the Confederated Tribes of Grand Ronde, who carry on the traditions, history, and legacy held by their ancestors from time immemorial to this day. We seek meaningful relationships with these communities that foster repair. Let's take a moment now and greet our neighbors here today, both in the chapel and online. You can stand and face the cameras in the back. This morning we have a responsive call to worship. It's called I Call That Church Free by James Luther Adams. I'll be reading the gold if you will be reading the white. I call that church free which enters into covenant with the ultimate source of existence.
That sustaining and transforming power not made with human hands.
It binds together families and generations, protecting against the idolatry of any human claim to absolute truth or authority.
This covenant is the charter and responsibility and joy of worship in the face of death as well as life.
I call that church free, which brings individuals into a caring, trusting fellowship.
That protects and nourishes their integrity and spiritual freedom that yearns to belong to the Church Universal.
It is open to insight and conscience from every source. It bursts through rigid tradition, giving rise to new and living language, to new and broader fellowship.
It is a pilgrim church, a servant church, on an adventure of the Spirit.
The goal is the prophethood and priesthood of all believers, the one for the liberty of prophesizing, the other for the ministry of healing.
It aims to find unity in diversity under the promptings of the Spirit that bloweth where it listeth and maketh all things new.
Now we light our chalice with words by Beatrice Hitchcock. The flaming chalice is the symbol of Unitarian Universalism. It is an everlasting flame for this community. It offers its warmth to those who are cold. It provides light to those who would see. It purifies and transforms the sanctuary into sacred space, this congregation into sacred community. May its flame burn true and high and strong.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm the minister, can you tell? I know people are seeing me in full regalia today, but it's germane to the sermon. Thank you, Mary, for playing such an old Unitarian hymn. You know, we have a huge library of hymns that predate the 1961 merger. So thank you. Yeah. In fact, a copy of all of these hymn books are in the music room. So you'll also be singing hymns today that are some of the most sort of traditional hymns that are related to the ministry. So I will begin, though, with this brief reading by the Reverend Gifford Fowler, who died in 1975 and is one of those old-time Unitarian ministers who would not have been caught dead in the pulpit without a robe on. So it's called After a Sermon on Little Churches. This morning, singing hymns about earth's beauty, praising for hills and trees, skies, suddenly in me there was a little voice that said, "Give praise for the city. Give praise for all the towns, dark, dusty, and busy. Give praise for crowded streets and factories and offices where they have learned the lesson of working and living together. Praise for cathedrals and workshops. Praise for little streets full of homes. Praise that everywhere in the town there are so many people to love." So our first hymn is number 358 in the gray hymnal, Rank by Rank, Again We Stand. It's often used in installations and ordinations. Please rise as you are willing and able.
Perfect. Good morning. So today I have a question for you. We light a chalice at the beginning of worship. We light a chalice in RE before we do joys and concerns. But do you know why Unitarian Universalists light a chalice when we gather together? Anybody know? Good, because I'm going to tell you. The chalice is a symbol of our faith, and its history reaches all the way back to World War II. Actually, the symbolism of the chalice goes back farther than that, but The story that I'm about to share is called The Healing Cup, the story of the flaming chalice. And it was written by Noreen Kimball. Now, I've done some editing and some paraphrasing of her original piece to fit our time together. But if anyone would like to read the original story, you can find it on uua.org. So, The Healing Cup. Many Unitarian Universalist churches begin worship by lighting a flame inside a chalice. This flaming chalice is our symbol, just as the cross or the Star of David are symbols for other faiths. The story of how it became our symbol begins during the Second World War. During that war, many people in Europe, Unitarians, Jews, and others, were in danger from the Nazis. A group of Unitarians in Boston formed the Unitarian Service Committee to help them. The director, Reverend Charles Joy, worked from Portugal with secret agents and messengers to find safe routes for people to escape. Because few had heard of the Service Committee, it was hard for them to get help from governments and organizations. Reverend Joy decided they needed an official symbol, something that could identify them, even when people spoke different languages. He asked an artist named Hans Deutsch, who had fled the Nazis, to design one. Deutsch created a drawing of a chalice with a flame, an old symbol of strength and freedom from Czechoslovakia. The chalice represented sharing and healing, and the flame stood for helpfulness and sacrifice. This flaming chalice became the official symbol of the Unitarian Service Committee. Years later, it became the symbol of Unitarian Universalists everywhere. By the 1970s, UU congregations began lighting a chalice in worship, and today it's used across the United States and Canada. One very old woman once said that the flaming chalice gave her strength while she was in a Nazi prison camp. Each morning, she traced the chalice in the sand with the words "Pravda vitezi," which means truth prevails. It reminded her that every person is important and deserves freedom of thought and belief. When we light the chalice on Sunday mornings, it's a lovely thing to do. But we can also remember the story of the flaming chalice and the strength it has given people for hundreds of years. We use it to let others know that Unitarian Universalists believe in helping others. Our chalice is a symbol of our faith and a story of love, courage, and people helping each other even through the darkest of times. And now it's time to say goodbye to Reverend Robin and the adults, and we'll continue back to RE. If the adults along the center aisle will form a bridge, we'll sing the children out. Thanks.
Before we enter into our silent time, I want to offer this reading that is so fitting the day after No Kings. It's called Revolution the Day After, and I shared it recently at the Indivisible meeting. It's by Carrie Newcomer. She writes, "Revolution is not a single event. Revolution is finding true north and walking toward it, knowing that you will be walking for a very long while or always, because the process of arrival at the most precious destinations become bringing in a better world, and that's going to take time. Revolution is traveling light, leaving what's dead weight by the side of the road like hate, the least effective form of resistance or protest, that by its very nature expands and gets heavier like slow-drying cement in the chambers of the heart. Revolution is holding close all you love, all you believe in, all you hope for, everything that actually matters, because you're going to get tired and discouraged and angry and wander in sorrow or doubt. And you're going to need all you've gathered in, embraced and endured, because it is what you love, not what you hate, that will keep reminding you to look up, search the sky, get a bead on something improbable, shining, and unstoppable, and keep walking. Now I invite you into some quiet time together. To close your eyes, to take a deep breath in and out. Drop your shoulders, uncross your arms and legs, put your feet on the ground. Really open your stance to allow energy to flow through you and create spaciousness. Soften your face, your forehead, your jaw. Feel how different that feels to just let your face relax. Drop your shoulders. Move your head around. Try to lighten the heaviness in your arms, in your body, in your hips and legs, all the way down to your feet. And breathe. 4 beats in slowly through your nose, 5 or 6 beats out slowly through your mouth in a steady rhythm, with the goal of creating spaciousness, openness, peacefulness. And just breathe. 4 in through your nose, 5 or 6 out through your mouth. Slowly come out of your breathing pattern, maybe a couple rounds, and then a big exhale. We'll remain seated to sing our spirit song, Spirit of Life. Many of you know it. If not, it's number 123 in the gray hymnal.
This is the first time that we'll be singing 2 verses. The second is in Spanish, which you heard the choir do last month, and we're going to start doing it too.
Our reading today is called My Secret Ritual by the Reverend Robbie Walsh. I'm going to tell you a secret. When I was a full-time minister, I used to have a small ritual that I would perform before going out to the sanctuary to lead worship and preach, or to perform some rite of passage. I would go into my office and close the door, reach into the closet for my robe, put the robe on with a flourish, and say, "This looks like a job for clergyman." I was invoking the spirit, not so much of Superman or any other superhero, but of Clark Kent, the mild-mannered reporter, the shy, clumsy, self-doubting one who, by donning his special costume, could assume extraordinary powers. Now, my robe doesn't empower this shy, clumsy, self-doubting one to leap tall buildings at a single bound, or to fly faster than a speeding bullet. But the role of ordained parish minister, of which my robe is a symbol, can empower one to do some extraordinary things that I think are even better. I can help people find a path toward spiritual wholeness, toward integrity, love, and purpose. I can celebrate loving, faithful covenants between people in families and in the church. I can bring the healing spirit of the church and its tradition into the presence of the suffering and the dying. I can proclaim the truth of the inherent worth and dignity of every person. I can help carry forward a living religious community that covenants to walk together in freedom and responsibility. I can help feed the hungry and shelter the homeless. Isn't that better than being able to fly? But here's the best part. We can all do these things. We don't need to be ordained. It's not necessary to wear a robe or a stole or a cape. We can all be ministers. For persons who are called to professional ministry, ordination and its symbols are important. But there is a limit to what the professional leader can accomplish directly. To change the world, we need the ministry of everyone.
I've always found it curious that all of my most memorable nightmares somehow involve the accoutrements and duties of my vocation. In one, the minister's office was locked from the outside. In a variation, there were no steps to the pulpit anymore. In one especially surreal nightmare, The pulpit completely vanishes just as I am about to start my sermon. And then there are the old chestnuts, my stole catching on fire while lighting the chalice, which has actually happened to some of my colleagues. The one in which I forget to write a sermon, I forget to bring the sermon, or I'm introduced to preach in a church I don't recognize and have never been in. I have nothing, and my mentor is in the first row looking at me, all heart palpitation inducing. There was an actual situation in real life in which I was doing the memorial service for a renowned former dean of Boston University and had written his eulogy separately from the rest of the script and forgot to bring it, and I had to MacGyver the heck out of that thing. Never forget it. Always check. In one case, straight out of a slapstick horror show, I couldn't get my arm in the sleeve of my robe because it was sewn shut. And you may recall this did actually happen to me when I bought my first clergy shirt. I preached about it in the past. Cosmic or coincidence? Now these days, as you know, I don't typically wear a robe, although I did early in my career in 2000. We were told that us women ministers would project more gravitas if we wore the uniform of our vocation. And I guess that was true because we all did. My late colleague, Robbie Walsh, talks about the power of the robe so amusingly in the reflection you just heard called My Secret Ritual. Jeanne just read it for us. He tells us, before going into the sanctuary, I would go into my office, close the door, look in the closet for my robe, put it on with a flourish, and exclaim, "This looks like a job for clergyman." He notes that the robe may not enable him to leap tall buildings or run faster than a speeding bullet, but it could empower him to help people find a path towards spiritual wholeness, integrity, purpose, and love. He says, I can celebrate faithful covenants between people in the church, and I can carry forward a living religious community that walks together in freedom and responsibility. He asks, isn't that better than being able to fly? I would respond to Robbie with a resounding, yes, it is better. But like Robbie, I don't need a robe, and neither do you, to change the world or share in the ministry of this fine fellowship. You've been lay-led, you started as a fellowship, you have been able to thrive without one. It's possible that Robbie stopped wearing his robe near the end of his career. I don't know. Many of us did. I did years ago. I'm wearing it today because my sermon is about the symbols of ministry and the sacred space we inhabit together on Sundays. And I don't feel like I need a robe to be taken seriously anymore. This particular robe that I'm wearing, crow's feet and all, is the Harvard Masters of Divinity robe, all velvet inserts and crimson embroidery. It's an academic robe because I earned an academic graduate degree, and it's worn by UU ministers because our ministry is considered a learned one, the learned ministry. In fact, for a very long time, ministers took the summer off just like professors, and everything ran on a kind of academic schedule. Each of the graduate schools at Harvard have different colors for these emblems or crow's feet, and this robe was a gift from my home church, the First Parish in Concord, upon ordination. And even though I rarely wear it now, only for ceremonial things like ordinations, installations, or memorial services, I really cherish it and what it represents. But good God, is it ever heavy and hot? And sometimes I feel like I can barely find my hand in these sleeves. You also are not used to seeing me in a clerical collar. I only wear it for public events to identify myself as clergy. I wore it yesterday during the extraordinary No Kings events downtown. Even as a humanist, I was proud to represent Unitarian Universalist values as I offered the closing prayer at the clergy rally before the march. Some of you were there, and during the march itself. The shirt doesn't say what I believe. It tells people that I have a calling and that I am showing up for them in my capacity as minister, chaplain, and advocate, and that I am a safe space. In the prayer I recited, the author Mary Reese calls on the mysterious presence. May our motivations align with a higher purpose. May our actions reflect our humanity. May our sorrows be for good, and may our rejoicing be for liberation. And I wore this stole, the symbol of the ordained ministry. This yellow one has become very recognizable as kind of UU vestment, especially with the rainbow banner and the Side with Love sort of slogan. It's like our brand. And a few people in the crowd during the rally and the march asked, "Unitarian Universalist?" And I nodded, and one of them said, "Keep up the good work," which I thought was lovely. And we must keep up the good work together. We don't require robes, stoles, clerical collars to do that effectively and collaboratively. As we know, we come from a lot of different religious backgrounds, and religions, they are full of symbols and quirky rituals that differentiate them from one another. Catholics have their notorious smells and bells, genuflecting, going up and down. Eastern Orthodox have their icons, Buddhists have their chants, Muslims have their daily prayers, Jews have their Shabbat candles, and the Anglicans have their organs and high church rituals and liturgy. And we UUs have our own symbols and rituals too, despite being postmodern and liking to think that we are just beyond all that, too sophisticated for that. In fact, our liturgy, or worship service, still resonates pretty close, used pretty close to our liberal Protestant roots. We sing hymns, we have readings, we have benediction, and the sermon is the central event, unlike religions like Catholicism, where the main event is Eucharist at the altar, and the sermon is usually a homily and not that significant. In fact, Unitarian Universalism is what is called pulpit-centered. I've preached from many pulpits over the past 30 years, and in New England meeting houses, with their box pews and their balconies, the pulpits can be both elaborate and intimidating. Twice, I preached at the First Religious Society of Newburyport, which houses what is affectionately called a nosebleed pulpit. John, do you have that picture? Right. That's very traditional with the box pews, with the doors. Look at that pulpit. Thank you, John. I was really careful on the way up and down, both times. The one in Newburyport reflects a traditional, somewhat outdated view of the pulpit as closer to God, that the preacher is closer to God and also separate from the congregation. In these cases, the preacher speaks to, but not with, the assembly. Now, our pulpit is more of a lectern, but it is up here on a chancel, another churchy word, and in truth, it does still create a separation between us. But the difference is, I, along with most of my contemporary peers, perceive the sermon as relational, as a conversation between us. That's why I always place myself among you in the sermon, and I always ask you questions to consider. That is the call in the message. I'm not just speaking at you, I'm conversing with you. And our spirited conversations afterwards brings that full circle as we explore together the topic of the day and whatever else comes up together. If you haven't come to one, we are having one today, and they really are very rich and meaningful. Now, this sanctuary, our chapel, is both a communal space and a private space. We worship together with room for your own private experience of words, song, sharing, and silence. Why do we need a sacred space? Couldn't we just meet in a field or in a cafe or in a gym or, I don't know, on a pickleball court? We could. In fact, some groups do meet in unusual places. Amy Mackenzie answers this question eloquently in these words, these opening words that she wrote. She said, "Welcome to this common sacred space. Common because we are all welcome, sacred because here we transform the ordinary and attend to the profound. We carry with us our regrets, doubts, fears, stories, laughter that may inspire our worship. But above all, may we each meet what we need most to find in this common sacred space." Now, as you entered this space today, this common sacred space, you may have noticed some new wall hangings. I hope you did. These were not casually chosen, but rather selected to represent who we are and who we aspire to be, and approved by the board to be in our common space. The Progress Pride flag proclaims our commitment to inclusivity and the principle of inherent worth and dignity. A calligraphy of the 7 principles in the back, well, we'll never give those up. And the sheet music to Spirit of Life, the unofficial UU anthem, adorns the space by the piano. We sang it earlier. Spirit of life, come unto me, sing in my heart, all the stirrings of compassion, blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. It expresses our identity more than just about any other hymn, even though it wasn't written by a Unitarian Universalist, but we've kind of adopted it. Some UU churches sing it every week with a whole set of hand movements, and sort of coincidentally, April gave me a sheet of paper today saying, "Do you know these hand movements?" I said, "Yeah, actually, I've done them before, so maybe we'll teach you some hand movements to Spirit of Life." We're also singing, and we've already sung one, some very explicitly UU hymns this week, traditionally rolled out for ordinations, and installations of ministers and other kind of official gathering. We're going to sing Forward Through the Ages after my sermon, In Unbroken Line, Move the Faithful Spirit at the Call Divine. You know, we can be as newfangled as we want, but we have this, really solid tradition also to call on. A congregant asked me recently why we even call it a worship service when we don't worship a deity or recite a creed. And it's a great question. I said before that one of the things that distinguishes us is we are brought together by covenant rather than creed. We gave up creeds in the 1800s. In fact, the word worship derives from the word worthscape. It's a Middle English word, which means to shape meaning or give meaning to what is worthy. And I think that's just exactly what we do every Sunday. We shape meaning. After the service today, our spirited conversations will focus on Unitarian Universalism, or sort of broadly about that. Are you a UU? Well, come and discover the answer, whether you are a newcomer or not. And I'll do my best to answer questions. I think it will be a lively conversation. Tara did a wonderful job of telling Noreen Kimball's story of the flaming chalice, the symbol of our faith. Have you wondered about that history, or just assumed we had this sort of fancy candle thing up here that we light on Sunday? It's fine either way. The lighting of the chalice is a ritual we repeat every week, and I really can't imagine our service without it. The rituals in our lives, they can ground us and nourish us. My colleague, the Reverend Stephanie Gill, notes that ritual touches something in our core, something significant and deep in us, which has existed at least as far back as the painted caves and likely before that. Ritual touches our emotions, and it appeals to our minds. Ritual speaks to a part of us which is so often beyond words. When rituals are infused with community, with intention, with faith and love, symbols and rituals, they're not empty gestures or objects. As Robbie Walsh tells us, for persons who are called to professional ministry, ordination and its symbols are important. But there is a limit to what a professional leader can accomplish alone. To change the world, we need the ministry of everyone. We need the inspiration of the flaming chalice, the uplift of song, the call of our benediction, and the trust of sharing joys and sorrows together. We need this assembly in this sacred space and beyond it. We are the ultimate symbols of this faith, whether we wear a chalice necklace around our necks or not, as I am doing today. We are the ultimate symbols of this faith, doing what is humanly possible to give praise and to give comfort. Praise for chapels and little streets full of homes, comfort for the weary and the wounded, praise that everywhere amongst us there are so many people for us to love. So may it be. Blessed be, blessed we, and amen. Please rise as you are able to sing number 114 in the gray hymnal, Forward Through the Ages.
Spirit
are going to be taking our offering. We share half of the money collected each week with a local organization doing good works in the community. Snowcap Community Charities is our Sharing the Bounty partner from September through February. Eastrose has a long relationship with Snowcap. We are one of 25 local churches that founded Snowcap in 1967 to address the needs of East Multnomah County residents. Snowcap helps with food, clothing, personal care items, and needs for infants. We look to deepen our partnership with Snowcap over the next months. If you are attending online, you may donate by visiting our website and clicking the donate button, or you may scan the QR code on the screen. If you are here for the first time, we invite you to let the basket pass you by and truly be our guest. The gifts for the congregation will now be most gratefully received. We extinguish this flame to remind us, love is the center. As we explore and rest, engage and heal, love remains the center. When all we can see is cold ashes, love remains. Susie has an announcement. This was submitted in YouTube chat by Jessica Heflin. Hi, I have an announcement about Snowcap's Thanksgiving meal. They are doing individual meals, 900 of them. The goal is $3,000. They said it was $3.33 a meal. They also are looking for warm clothing, coats, hats, gloves, scarves, underwear, and socks. There's a bin at Eastrose in the lobby. Snowcap's hours are Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Drop-off is done on the back side of the Snowcap's building on Pine Street. And we would like to thank everybody who took part in today's service. And come on up, Susie.
So how many people here have come to the Eastrose auction in the past? Yay! How many people have not come? This is your opportunity to be one in the first group. It is an absolutely fun event. We are selling tickets in the back where the coffee is going to be. Also, there's sign-ups for food and other things that you want to participate and help out in. And there's also sign up if you want to help out a little bit with the auction. The theme is Day of the Dead. I'm going to be in costume. Maybe many of you might be in costume that are coming. But we need you to buy your tickets. In the past, we've sometimes sold tickets, sometimes not, but this year we are. And we are holding the auction at the Gresham Memorial Chapel. The people are absolutely wonderful, and it's going to be a great, fun event. So I encourage you, when you go back, to have a cup of coffee, to look at the list, sign up, and buy some tickets. Cynthia is right there, and she is selling the tickets. Thank you.
And once again, there is Spirited Conversations after the service today. We will have a new member welcome on Thanksgiving Sunday, which I believe is November 23rd. So if you have some interest in moving towards membership and signing the book between now and then, would be a good time. Also, next week, I mean, we'll have another one after that, but yeah, why not? Next week, our service is our All Souls service. So we will have a memorial altar set up, a table for you to bring mementos and photographs and other things to honor and commemorate those you have lost. And the sermon will be about the geography of grief. So now let us join together in the ritual of saying our benediction together.
Go out into the world in peace. Have courage. Hold on to what is good. Return to no person evil for evil. Strengthen the faint-hearted. Support the weak. Help the suffering. Honor all beings.
May you go out in joy and return in love. Blessed be. Enjoy coffee together, and if you want to come back, we'll meet here probably in 15 minutes or so.